Okay, in this video we're going to go over these options down here. The global configurations we're going to go over. Global configuration will bring you to this page right here. There's three tabs. There's General, Properties, and then Companies and Agents. A lot of this is stuff you don't really want to mess with, but I just want you to see it and kind of know what it is. General Settings, CSS file, and this is on default CSS. What that is it's a CSS is a cascading style sheet, and that's just how it lays out on the front end. That's a lot of what that is. Just how it displays. I wouldn't really mess with that unless you know what you're doing, but it is possible to have different ways for it to show up. Advanced search is if you have the search function, you can save it where there's an advanced search option or not. Log searches is whether you want to keep track of searches, and then you can check those down here at this option, log searches. Front page settings, that's going to be how it shows your default HotProperty view, like when someone looks at all properties. Show featured, number of featured items, and then show search form. What show featured is whether or not you want that page to show featured items or not. Featured items is the number of them, a number. Show search form is whether or not you want to show a search box for them to look around for stuff. Next thing is number of items to show per page. Default, that's just by default how many items. Like if somebody, I'm going to go to the front, if somebody were to click on browse residential homes, of course there's only 2 properties on this website, so it's not going to show 10, but right here you see that. That's kind of what this has to do with this. By default it'll show 10 results on this page if there were 10. If there were, like, let's say there's 20 houses that were in here, it would show the first 10. It wouldn't show all 20. Featured is the number of featured homes you want it to show. Search is if someone searches how many results you want it to show by default. And also they all come with this page. Unless you disable it, they all have this drop down box where you can pick the number of results from the front end, which is kind of cool. Company, if they were there was a whole bunch of companies on here, you could tell it. If they were browsing companies, you could tell it how many companies to show. Agents, if they were browsing agents, how many agents you want to show. Image settings, I will leave it at the GD2 library bundled compatible. This is just different ways that images show up, or different programs it's using to get images to show up. Image magic path and the net PBM path have to do with this. If you use those different programs to manage images, you'd have to put a path in here for it to get to them. Price settings, currency, USD. That works for this. If you wanted to put a different one in there, like if you're using I don't know, euros or something like that, you would put in the euro symbol, and I don't know what that is off the top of my head. You set 1,000 separators, whether or not you want to use a comma right there, and that's what you could determine that 1,000 separator is a comma. Decimal position, 0 or 2. What that's talking about is 2 over or 0 over, whether or not you want decimals to show or not. The next tab on here is, actually, I'm going to end that one, and then the next video will be the Properties tab.